Les don't have to get up this early, do you, Les?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay.
You on? Okay, James.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talks morning show. Every day we rise is a great day to be alive. And welcome again. I heard some feedback there, but anyway, welcome again. And we are here this morning. My name is James Slim Overton, and here with my co-host Leah Drake Stick and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. Good morning.
Good morning and good morning.
Yes.
Okay, and we have a special guest with us this morning. And Leah, if you will, we're going to get started right away. Leah, if you will, introduce our special guest.
I tell you what, this young man makes my heart sing. This young man is none other than our athletic director for IC Norcom High School, Mr. Les Young, the man of the hour. This young man came to us as a non-Norcom graduate. However, he's married to a graduate of IC Norcom, my classmate, and his wife is a graduate of Norcom, and his daughters are graduates of Norcom. But this young man has come into Norcom with a zest and a zeal that you can never imagine. Now, one of his cohorts are coming on here now, Kim Johnson. So, but I just want to say that Les is the AD of all athletic directors. In all my years, I have served as the president of the IC Norcom Alumni Association off and on since 1994. And this young man is the only athletic director who has come in. He keeps us abreast of what's going on. He engages the Alumni Association in everything that he's doing. And he has taken the time to learn the history of our school. He's taken the time to read and to understand what we are all about and what we have been about over the past 109 years. And this month, this weekend past, he brought it all home. We had the homecoming of all homecomings. Now, as he said, he did not do this by himself. He's had an amazing team, and none other than Miss Kim Johnson, Miss Karen Britt, Miss Keita Almond, and his son of all times, Janari Davis.
That's right.
That he is his son. Although he's at Norfolk State, Janari has been here with us the entire week, helping out. Now, a lot of people think, Les, that this was only a weekend show, but this show started early in the week and it went on for the entire week. Les Young and Kim Johnson, welcome to IC Norcom High School. Praise the Lord. Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. We're so thankful that you all chose to get up to be here with us so early on this Monday morning after having had such a rich and rewarding weekend. Welcome, Les. Welcome, Kim, to Portsmouth. Once again saying IC Norcom. Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. We're so happy to have you here on this morning.
Sorry for a moment there, it froze up on. Good morning. Thank y'all. I missed that last part. I was trying to get Kim Johnson, Karen Britt, Nikita Allman, and Janari Davis all to log in because, again, this, to do what we did this weekend, we have a thing at Norcom that my principal, Steve Kuta, my assistant principal, he brought in called All In. And that's what we had. We had an all in effort by this group, this committee, and they're all alumni. Janari, class of 2022, Karen Britt, and Kimberly Johnson, class of 1994, and Nikita Allman, class of 2005. So I had this group of alumni behind me, holding me up, pushing this thing along. So this by no means was, a one-man thing. I know at the tailgate, folks was stopping me and saying, "Great job," and I had to tell them, this is an effort put forth by some folks who loves IC Norcom.
Amen.
These people breed IC Norcom like they say they bleed Norcom. Kimberly Johnson is on. I'm waiting for Karen Britt. I don't know if Nikita Allman would make it. I really don't think so.
I don't think Nikita Almond would be on either.
I don't think that would happen. But I extended that invitation to them because I wanted everybody to know they were the people behind this. I happened to be the face of it, but they were the people behind it. So thank y'all very much.
Well, let's talk about you brought something to us this year as not a grand reunion homecoming, but you brought something to us this year which was quite different from any of the homecomings we've had in the past. In as much as you brought alumni flag football, you brought alumni volleyball, you brought alumni old school pep rally, and am I missing one thing, Les?
Alumni basketball.
Alumni basketball on Friday night.
Yep.
We have never on a non-grand reunion year had so many activities going on.
Right.
I think that the populace in general did not take into full account as to what you were doing. It was something new for them, So some of the events were not as attended as well as we would have liked for it to be attended.
Right.
But by Thursday and Friday night,
Caught on.
oh, it caught on. It
Caught
caught on.
So
It caught on.
So the plan, Dr. Knight, oh my goodness, I should have had Dr. Knight up here. I need to send him. Kimberly, if you can send Dr. Knight the link, it'd be nice to get him up there as well. So when we started the planning back in August or September, it might have been early September, I told my principal to get Dr. Knight on. I asked my principal permission to get Dr. Knight on board for the parade. So him and I start collaborating, start talking. Every Wednesday we would meet before the whole committee. It was just him and I. And we were throwing themes around. And, we talk about the revival, we talk about coming back home, all those. But the theme in my mind has always been bringing alumni back. And when I said bringing them back, I know they're going to come back for the game, but making alumni feel a part of their school.
Mhm.
I don't think there should be any disconnect between IC Norcom and the alumni.
Amen.
I think the alumni should feel comfortable enough to be able to walk in their building and feel like they're a part. So the whole idea was to incorporate as many activities that alumni can attend. So not that they're attending and watching, but that alumni can participate. So when Karen Britt, Kimberly Johnson, those two ladies was my main go-to ladies. We started on Google Doc and we were just writing ideas. I started just writing stuff down. And, on that Tuesday, we decided, okay, we're going to start it out with football because Saturday football would end the activity. So we're going to start with football first. So we started with the flag football. And at first we sent it out. I think I had 2 guys email me and ask about it. But by that week of the 14th, we were up to 17 guys. That was the flag football. Wednesday night, the idea with Wednesday was we had a senior night for volleyball that was already scheduled. So we thought, hey, why not play the regular volleyball game? The varsity girls had senior night and then the varsity boys. Why not invite volleyball players that night to play? So, that was perfect. It was a regular game. We honor 4 seniors that I'm going to miss dearly. And then we had the alumni volleyball game. That was unbelievable because the women that played, we had women from the class of 1993 up to the class of 2022. Those women from 1999, 2000, they played like they were 16, 17.
They did, Les.
That was phenomenal. And then after the game, the next morning, I had emails from almost all of those females that asked, can they come back? And can we do something like this? Not just for the homecoming, but coming back and playing with the athletes. So that was phenomenal. And then Thursday, the idea behind Thursday I think this was either Kimberly Johnson or Karen Britt's idea to do, it was supposed to be a band battle between Norview
Yes.
and then a pep rally. Well,
Mhm.
Norview band had several COVID cases, so they couldn't come. We found that out 2 days before. And we went to the band director about it. We talked about it. He said, Coach, I'm still down. We're gonna come and we'll perform for you. Just let me know what you want to do. So Karen Britt and Kimberly Johnson came up with the idea of just, hey, let's just keep going and we'll do an old school pep rally, bring a DJ in and just make the alumni enjoy themselves. And that was phenomenal. That's where I lost my voice.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where you lost your voice. If it wasn't on Monday, you lost your voice because you've been talking continuously since last Monday. Okay.
I think that night, I mean, the alumni, the energy, and my mother-in-law always said that. She said, Norcom, we have a different energy. She said it all the time. And I felt that energy that Thursday night. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It really was.
It was just the participation from the people. It was the smiles on the alumni.
Thank you.
It was the alumni band members. You know, Mr. Davenport was in the house. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And the feedback was just, the energy was unbelievable. Then Friday night, oh my goodness. So we started out, we planned the basketball game back in August. Kimberly Johnson sent out the flyer. It was back in August. We didn't get a lot of response. But the week before homecoming, we went from 7 basketball players to sign up to 38. 38. I mean, we got to the point where I had to tell people, look, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing to you now, but we don't have any spaces. And I must put a plug in here. My JV basketball coach, DeCarlos Anderson.
Yes. My son.
He is an unbelievable young man. I mean, from the day I met him, it might have been 4 years ago, when he came in on the JV coach. His energy is unbelievable. I need to say this. He's an intelligent young man.
Yes, he is.
He's working on his doctorate right now as we speak. He's in that process with my school, Liberty University, working on his doctorate in administration. So he's going to be principal sooner or later. But he headed that up on the alumni basketball game. He brought in those all-stars guys from 2011 up to 2019. I think that era when Goolsby won 6 state championships.
Yes,
There are about 4 of those guys, Travis Fields. There's 4 of those guys on that team that was there Friday night. So, I mean, it was just, I don't know, the energy was so great. I'm still excited.
Let me say something about that basketball night, and I was in attendance because I have to tell this story because it's so amazing. And Leah always jokes me about me being on the basketball team back in 72, being a bench player. But what's amazing, when I got there, when I was checking in, the lady at the desk said, "Are you playing?" I said, "Are you kidding?" It's been 50 years, and but she said, "I asked you that because it's another guy from 72."
Yes.
Playing.
Mr.
And I saw the name Steve Strong, and he was on the team with me back in 72.
Wow.
My teammate.
Okay.
And I went in there, I said, I don't believe this, but I know he's been playing off and on.
Yes,
I didn't think he's been playing that long, because he ran up the court one time. I said, that would have been it for me. He got in there and played, and I said, that's amazing to have someone. That team, most of those guys, 2002, were like 20 years out. This guy, Steve Strong, was 50 years
50
out.
years out.
19 years since he wore the uniform, and was my teammate. And I was just amazed. I had to go down there and tell him, look, I'm up here. If you start breathing heavy or some help, I'll be down there for you. But I just had to mention that because that was amazing.
Right, that's right.
People need to know that we had a guy that, so 50 years ago, he was on Norcom's team, and he was playing that night, that Friday night.
1972. So he called me and left a long message first, and I called him back. He was so excited. He said, He said, if you don't allow me to play, I'm coming anyway. So he came around 6 o'clock.
That's Steve. Yeah.
He came into my office and we talked for about 10 minutes. He told me stories about playing against Moses Malone. I mean, he went on. He was listing names of legends in basketball that he played with or
Yeah.
against. And he said he played almost every week, at least twice a week.
Mhm.
Said he's been doing that for years. And his energy. I mean, he has that gift gab to just
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
he does. Yes, he does.
class of 1972. That's right.
Yeah, you didn't want to be on the bus with him, you know, he dominated the conversation, but good guy. And he
Yes.
did a lot of, after he played at Norcom, he did a lot of pickup games with all these people you mentioned. He played against Nancy Lieberman, who was at ODU back in the day.
Right.
So he could throw out some names that he used to
He
do
did.
pickup basketball with.
He did. And he threw those names out within 1 minute.
Yeah, that was him. But I just had to mention that because I thought that was amazing, you know, to have someone come back, you know.
That's right. Well, it was just unbelievable. We had, like I said, for the flag football game, we had the oldest we had was class of 1997. For the alumni volleyball game, the oldest we had was a class of 1993. Her name was Tonia. Kimberly Johnson could give me her whole name. Tonia. Oh man, I can't remember her name, last name. Kim, are you on? And then for the basketball,
it's Tania Copeland Bailey.
Tonia Copeland Bailey.
That's what it was.
Oh,
Yes.
TNT.
TNT.
She was the oldest for the volleyball game, 1993. And also the trivia for next year for the volleyball game, we had Miss Zakita Cost Everett.
Yes.
She was the class of 1999, I think. Don't quote me on that, Kim. I think it's 99 for Zakita Cost, but she had 2 daughters, actually 3 daughters that plays on my volleyball team currently. 2 of those are starters. One, her namesake Zakita is my outside hitter, and Alayla is one of my defensive specialists. So she played on that volleyball game, and she had 2 daughters that started in the varsity game that night.
And her daughter said that she was coaching that team. She was coaching the Maroon team on that night.
Zakita, the oldest daughter, came down on the bench and coached her mom's Maroon team.
Yes.
And they won the game.
And you know what, Les and Kim, Colonel unfortunately did not graduate from Norcom. He's a Western Brancher, but we love him.
He's honorary.
His wife is a Norcom graduate. Antoinette Chapman is a Norcom graduate. So we had to immerse the Colonel into this Greyhound fever this week. And he got that fever. He felt that fever this week. I mean, he was right there with us. And so much so that today the Colonel is donating a tuba to the band.
Oh,
yeah. So he's gonna take a tuba over there to Derek Wright today. So Derek will have another instrument for the band.
Hey, I must say this though, Derek Wright, this young man, you have to sit down and talk with him. He has an energy that's contagious as well.
Yes.
And when he took over the band, he had less than 15 20 kids. And that band is growing. He is part of this planning committee as well, because he was involved in everything, you know. So I need to plug that as well. I'm particular in making sure that people who help
exactly
do reward. Derek Wright deserved some accolades as well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
They were going all week long. The week before homecoming, Friday night they had something. Saturday they had something. Sunday they were at church. And then Thursday they were with me. Friday they were there, and Saturday they were marching and playing. So they were unbelievable. A group of kids that he has, just like Karen Britt with these alumni and cheerleaders and varsity cheerleaders.
Yes.
The cheerleaders was at every function.
Every event. Every event.
Flag football, there was over 20 of them. Volleyball, it was about 15. Thursday, she had another 20 plus.
Exactly.
Friday for the basketball game, she had alumni cheering on one side and the varsity kids on the other side. Saturday, they marched and then they were at the game.
Yes.
They were all in. This, like I said, Leah, this was a collective effort by a group of people that loves IC Norcom. I mean, they all from Karen, Kim, Janari, Nikita, Mr. Wright, who's not an alumni like myself, all
Joe
in.
Knight, all of y'all
Joe
right
come
there
in,
together.
just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Yes. You know, and the good part is that the Alumni Association and the school are one.
Right.
And we're working hand in hand,
Right.
which is the most important thing.
Exactly.
Because with us working hand in hand, it's going to be such a great event next year. For those who out there listening, those who missed this year because you thought that it was just going to be something thrown together,
Right.
nothing without any purpose to it.
Right.
You see now, because it would happen with the parade. A lot of people were calling me Saturday mornings. They were so used to us going to Elm Avenue, turning around and going back to the school. A lot of people were calling saying, has the parade been called off? Has the parade been called off? You know, they did not believe that we were going to go from the high school all the way to the waterfront for the parade.
Right.
They didn't believe it. So they would be prepared for next year.
That's right. That's right.
They would be prepared.
And you said a key word, planet. The part it's planet. It's planet. You know, there was nothing just happened this week. This was, like I said, since August, we've been going at this. And when Dr. Knight came on board, you talk about history.
Yes.
He sat me down. So he sat me down in his classroom and he said, young man, you need to know this. He went down the line. He gave me history after history. And what he brought to the table was the real Norcom. I don't know how else to say that. You know, I know Kim and Karen and Nikita, they have that, but Dr. Knight brought something different.
Yes.
You know, and he's so eloquent with explaining the process and so he paid such attention to detail. And I took that and I sat there and I listened. You know, it wasn't every time I go to this classroom.
Oh, you're frozen. Kim, are you on, Kim?
I'm here. I'm on my way to work.
You're on your way to work. If there's anything you would like to add, because Les is frozen at this time.
What was he talking about? Dr. Knight?
Yes.
Okay, so I know Dr. Knight since I was in the 10th grade at Norcom, and when he came back to Portsmouth to teach history, he's always been a wealth of information. I can honestly say that if there was anybody still living and breathing inside of the building that was a true testament to the struggles and the history behind IC Norcom, he's one. I am also because although my family is not originally from Portsmouth, my mother's side is from North Carolina. My father, on the other hand, is a Western Branch grad, and most of my family on that side, Taylor's Gaines, they are all Western Branch Crestwood people. You know, being a part of the Norcom history, my freshman year, I think it was 1990, 1991, they threatened to close the school. So
that's right.
I didn't get them. My mother wouldn't let me go down there and use my feet, but I did use my knees because I was taught the power of prayer.
That's right.
Yeah, I basically had to fight that way. And thankfully, Norcom has lasted long enough for my legacy. My daughter, who's on the volleyball team as the setter, she is a part of that legacy now. I think when I went to Norcom, I had to apply to get into Norcom.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
They didn't play about grades, and we don't play about grades either, but you know, it is what it is. But honestly, Dr. Knight has been around for a long time. He definitely shares with the students and the staff in various ways of, you know, how important this institution of learning is to our city and to really to the world. He always brags about when I wasn't here. I was in the military for quite a few years, for about 15 years. And when I was away, I used to follow Steve Harvey and all of that, and how Norcom had won the Hoodie Awards a couple of times, and I watched all of it because I couldn't be there, but I could watch it and follow while I was, defending the country and doing my part. But yeah, he's a wealth of information. One day soon, hopefully, before he decides to throw in the towel, he may need to write something or get the recordings of him or something that we can have, maybe put in a time capsule.
Exactly, Kim.
I think a few years ago, one of the 90s classes that was in the building with me did a time capsule. I want to say it was 91.
That's my daughter's class.
I think they did a time capsule. Somebody did one. I do remember that. They mentioned a time capsule, and here it is, 30 some years later. And I don't know if they ever found it and opened it or anything like that. I'm not sure, but case in point. Oh, I can start my video still. Okay. Yeah. So good morning, everybody. Now you got a real face. Not a recording or a robot, but he's a wealth of information. If it's a question I can't find it, I'll go talk to him. He's a walking, breathing encyclopedia. So indeed. If you ever get to sit and talk to him, just brace yourself because you're gonna be there for a minute because he will.
You would not get away. You would not get away.
Break it all the way down to where they dug up the ground for it. So
Les is coming back.
But we talk about how important it is for us to pass information down or history down through the generations. And this is one way to do that in a fun way, especially for our young people. You get them involved this way, and while you're doing it, you throw a little bit of that history in. And I always tell present students, because sometimes it doesn't hit them right away about the Norcom mystique and the spirit and everything, because a lot of people might look at us Greyhounds as being arrogant, but it's not arrogance. It's something about knowing the history and having that pride, knowing where we came from and what the teachers did for us and preparing us for the world. And this was a perfect way to pass that history down in by the way of activities like this, because and even the older alums that came to the tailgating and the games, just seeing each other after 50 years, 40 years and things like that, and talking about their experiences, and anybody young around them got a chance to hear that as well. So it's all about preserving that history, and that's what we needed. And Les Young came in and others, Ms. Johnson and others came in and started that spark, and it's exactly what we needed at the right time, especially what's going on nationally, politically. We needed something to sort of overshadow all that craziness that's going on and present the pride of IC Norcom again. And I think we're on the way to something even bigger, like we're talking about next year. Is bringing people together. So I appreciate Les Young and Miss Johnson and all the people involved, what they did today. It was people there at the tailgate that I never saw until I saw them posting on, that they were there. That's how many people were there. We couldn't even get a chance to see each other, but great event. And the history is the
James,
most important
someone came up to me and said, "Who do y'all think you all are? You think you're a university, don't you?" I said, "That's exactly who we are." I say, pretty soon, when the grand reunion comes, you're going to think that you were at a HBCU gathering, because it's going to be grand and it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah, I had two people tell me that, what, y'all not a university. I said, no, but we're HBHS.
There you go.
And both of the people that told me that were Wilson grads, Norcom wannabes, so
but we got some people from Wilson and from Churchland who are calling me and say, "Hey, how can I be a part of this?" Yes, you can be a part of this. You can be an associate member of the IC Norcom Alumni Association. Colonel, You
Yeah.
are already an associate member of IC Norcom High School Association. He joined recently. So we have, our doors are open to anyone who would like to come in and share the love that we have for our beloved institution. You know, and I often tell the students, when I talk to the students, you know, wherever you go, I don't care where you are, you run into a Norcom graduate, you know. When I was in Alaska, I heard somebody saying, Leah Drake, Leah Drake. I said, oh my God, they have to be from Norcom High School. And it was a fellow graduate of IC Norcom High School. When I
Awesome.
went to Johannesburg, Bismarck Marek was the ambassador to Lesotho. And he said, Leah, you can't come to South Africa and not come to Lesotho. I went to Lesotho and stayed at the embassy with Bismarck Marek and his daughter. And they took me all over South Africa. I mean, a real personal tour of South Africa. So, you know, Norcom graduates are everywhere. And at our last grand reunion, we had graduates who came back from in Germany and other places, but they came home for the grand reunion. There is a love for Norcom that runs so rich and so deep. You can't take it away from us. I tell the superintendent all the time, I say, Norcom is the place to be. And we're getting back to where we need to be. We're getting back to where we were before. And it's just such a blessing. Tell you, man, let's walk through that door. Oh, it's time for us to go
Yeah,
off
got to
air.
make the transition.
Okay.
I want to thank all the listeners on WGPL 1350 AM for listening, and we're making that transition. You are leaving us right now, but thank you, and remember to join us next Monday. And we're on Facebook Live now. But Leah, before I forget, let me give a notice to Sheriff Michael Moore and Under Sheriff Marvin Waters and their deputy sheriffs for working the games all year round, and the amazing job they did on Saturday with a huge crowd in maintaining order there. One small incident that nobody even knew happened, they were right on it. But for the most part, they have been there all year, and I just wanted to make sure we give a shout out to them and thank them and show them how much we appreciate what they've been doing all year, especially what they did on last Saturday with a huge crowd, maintaining control and making us feel safe.
Exactly.
Let me echo that. And I wanted to say that before we went off. Like I say, I think it's important to tell people thank you. I think it's very, very important to let people know that you appreciate what they're doing. Not just the police officers, the men in uniform, but my security.
The sheriff deputies. We're not police officers, okay?
Sheriff deputies, the Portsmouth Police Department, and the security officers from Portsmouth Public School. Those three entities that come together to make sure, not just for homecoming, but every activity that I have, any activity that I have, they have to be there. That's part of the process. And from small volleyball games to huge homecoming games, they are always there and maintaining order and safety. They take care of a lot of small incidents that people don't know that happen. So yes, thank you for saying that. And I don't know if they're listening, if anyone is listening from those entities, but we certainly like to thank them, not just from me, but from my administrative staff, Dr. Foster and the crew.
And you said, Kim, is there any way you can send the information to Derek Wright? See if he could pop on for 1 minute. Colonel Derek said, good morning. Thank you so much that you're donating. That tuba is going to mean the world to the students. And he thanks you again for your support. So Derek is right on point and thanking the Colonel for donating that tuba on today to the IC Norcom band.
Yeah.
You said he is on? Derek is on?
No, he just texted me. That's why I asked him if you could send him the link.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
see if he would come on.
I wish he can come on. That young man is he is phenomenal. I'm gonna tell y'all a story though, that I was walking through the tailgate and I just, what I was doing is walking through maybe every 20 minutes or so, just to do an assessment to see what we can do different next year, because the plan this year, as you know, we have 3 areas in that bus ramp. So I had the folks separated by decades. 1970s and 1980s was in the closest to High Street. In the middle, we had the 1990s, and then on the far left, we had the class of 2000 up. So I was standing with the 1979 group. Shelley Wood is her name. She was the organizer or the president for that class. And walking through, she was sitting with Brian Bynum's sisters, 2 of his sisters.
Yes.
And I overheard her talking to a young person who just graduated from Norcom, and she was giving that young man history. So I just stood there and listened. So here's the class of 1979 talking to someone who graduated, I think the young man either 2019 or 2018. So they may have been cousins, but she was giving him history and pointing out to him where things was. And it was unbelievable. I was like, that's what it's all about right there. 79 talking in 2019, just dropping knowledge, like the young folks would say, dropping knowledge about Norcom. That was phenomenal. So that's what we had all day.
Long. That took place.
Hey, Colonel, did you want to get in there? I know you.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's an old saying that you have to read the room. And as I read the room, I see that you're basking in the glory of this whole entire event that lasted over this time. But as I look back at it, there's one problem, that the next time around, you got to step the game up even further.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Yes.
It'll be
So
tough.
You have to outdo yourself.
tough, but it can be done and it will be done. But I was thinking about a theme that just came to mind as I was listening to you, a theme of saying the past, present, and the future. Think about that as a theme for next time, because all talked about, the past, folks that have attended. You put the kids in there that are in school now, the seniors that are getting ready to graduate. And then you talk about the future as we grow the next generation of Norcom graduates and citizens of this city and the country and everything. And so that might be a theme that you might want to think about as you go about the next time as you plan in there. So I just want to put that in there.
Thank you,
Sounds
Colonel.
good. Sounds good. What you think, Leah?
Hey, it sounds good to me, but my main thing too is that we can't let the momentum fall.
Yes.
So, next year is our 110th year. Next year is our grand reunion year. And we, as the Alumni Association, we meet tomorrow. We meet tomorrow at 7:00 in the library. We have an election of officers on tomorrow at 7:00. And then we will commence to planning for the grand reunion. Now, we're trying to keep the grand reunion in Portsmouth, Virginia. We're hoping that the Renaissance will be willing to work with us. And our only problem is, and I talked to Les about this before, is because he can't find out until May when the homecoming is, that kind of puts us in a tight spot, because a lot of the weekends have already been claimed at the Renaissance. But you gave me Kristen's name, and I'm going to talk with her as well once we get there. But we want to keep it in Portsmouth if we possibly can keep it in Portsmouth. And we are praying that it will be close to the homecoming period. But leading up to the grand reunion, we're going to have little mini activities going on throughout the year just to keep people engaged with IC Norcom, to bring the family back to the fold, to help to teach the history to those younger people who are coming out of Norcom now. So there will be some plans in place. There are some ideas, and we definitely will do this in conjunction with your team, Les Young, because we're going to do this thing together. We're going to work out this plan together. Even if quarterly, we do something quarterly just to keep the graduates engaged in the spirit. Keep that spirit alive. We got the spirit is burning. It's burning. The flames are just coming all over. But we have to keep that spirit alive. So we will be working with your team as we prepare for the grand reunion next year.
Leah, I'm glad you said that because I was going to make a statement about, to alums and friends of IC Norcom. Don't just wait for homecoming time. All year round,
That's right.
support, the students that are in there. So
That's
if you're going to have activities, because we also have to support the STEM students, we have to support
Yes.
the band, the concert band, we have to support the choir, we have to support all the different clubs if the debate team is put back together. And we have to let all the students know how much we appreciate them. And the more we show concern to them, the more they'll remember, because that's why
Exactly.
we all have the memories, because we remember the community, supporting us as well as the teachers. So we have
that's
to
right.
have the spirit all year round, not just waiting for homecoming to show out. And that's very important, but
That's
all year
important.
round, all year
That
round.
that is very important, and that was one of the things that Dr. Foster and I talked about. He said, well, what he told me, he said, Les, don't just get excited for now. You have to make sure that you keep that going. Don't.
Exactly.
I think his words was, don't burn out. Just don't burn the flame. You have to keep that flame going.
Got
So,
to keep it going.
Leah, my mother-in-law told me a story about um, a teacher that would make her. She would have to go to this teacher's house, and she would walk. The teacher would walk them to the library,
Mm-hmm.
and stay there until they finish reading certain books.
Oh, yes. Yes.
This was she said this was normal. This was not something that the teacher just did that one day. It was
Mm-hmm.
going. That was this was a all year round thing, going to a teacher's house and getting
Mm-hmm.
work. She was talking about how connected the teachers were to the students.
Exactly.
How much invested they were. So when Dr. Foster said that to me, I was reminded of that story.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, we had no choice. We had to do what was supposed to be done because the
Exactly.
teachers held us accountable.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, and that's my lesson of Norcom. That was my first. When she started telling me these stories, I'm like, wow, this is a different place.
It is. It is.
So we
And
we need.
unless we had kind of lost that connection for a
Mhm.
short period of time, but that connection has come back and is coming back now. I sent Dr. Foster a text this morning. I told him, I said, we're here for you, not only for homecoming, not only for grand reunions, but whatever we can do to bring the kids' knowledge up to that point where they will have the reverence and the love for the school. We are here to engage with you and your team to make this happen. We want to see it happen. We want to see these young people understand. We want them to understand why the heart of that school, why we don't step on the heart of that school. Because Mr. Waters, for 30 plus years, stood in the heart of that school. He greeted the students when they entered the school and when they exited school. He stood there and greeted them. And not only that, he awarded them when they won an award. It was taking place in the heart of the school. And that's why we brought the heart from the old school back to the new school. The awning outside the school on the bus ramp is the awning from the old school. So there are a lot of features at the new school that are now at the new school, which is from the old school, and they need to know this. And this is
Mhm.
one reason why, too, part of this grand reunion, the vice president and I, we're going to present it to the body. We're talking about having a trivia night, class against class. Come on, how much knowledge do you have about Norcom and the Norcom family? Let's go and have a trivia night. I've also talked to Mr. Keith Toller in tourism downtown Portsmouth. I said, how can you all celebrate 100 years of Portsmouth and not include IC Norcom High School? Because Israel Charles Norcom High School had an impact in many areas of our city. The first graduation class was at Zion Baptist Church. How come we can't put a marker there? He was part of the Southern Aid Insurance Society. Why can't, and that was at the building at 446 Green Street. Why can't, and the building is still there. It's a historical building. Why can't we put a sign out here where Mr. Norcom played a part in this insurance company coming about? How about Emmanuel Church, where he served as a trustee at the church? We can put a sign at Emmanuel. Mr. Norcom was here. And just as they have the person doing Jeffrey Wilson for the old time players who walk around downtown Portsmouth, I said, why can't we have a Mr. Norcom as a part of this? So I'm going to meet with Keith Toller. He says, do it sooner than later. So I plan to meet with Keith Toller. I wanted to get through the homecoming. I'm going to go down and meet with him. I asked May to join me as we share with him some of these historical points and places that we need to highlight so that we can have a walking tour of the Norcom history as well. The old school on Turnpike Road, 915 High Street. You know, there's so many places that we can mark off to keep that history alive. We have to keep it alive.
Lee, I think a good idea too, I'll just throw this out there that you can be thinking about maybe during the year or one of those nights or something like that, because reach out to those other historically Black schools, that some of them that are no longer here, like Crestwood, the Booker T, George Washington Carver over in the Peninsula, and Mary Smith over in the Eastern Shore, Maggie Walker, and people that attended those, and maybe we'll have a night where, because we played against all those schools. That's because we had to, because we had to play each other because there was no integration. And reach out to some of those people that are still around and invite them to an event. If it had to be in the stadium, if you get
James,
that kind of response.
That is a fabulous idea. And
and celebrate all the Black historical high schools that were once vibrant in our communities.
But a couple of years ago, someone tried to pull together those schools. I have to go back and look through my archives and get the individuals' names, but we need to actually do that, James. We need to incorporate that. Lydia Patton is on. She's watching. She says, good idea, James. Good idea.
I will be glad to be a part of that, trying to
James,
reach out to.
I want you to, and I want you involved. I want Les involved. I want Kim involved. I want the Colonel involved. We want everyone who has we need the young people, because so often, we have the homecoming banquet, but many of the young people don't attend. What do we need to do to get you to attend the banquet? What do we need to do to engage you as well?
Have older alums sponsor students.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. So, Leah, the young people, they want to feel this is a different. I've been coaching for over 28 years, and this group now, they're different. And I don't want to do any negative this morning, because we're all positive here.
We're positive from this point on.
There's a sense of entitlement with this group. So we have to find a way to make them feel like they are totally a part. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's what that don't come on homecoming week. That come every day. When we see them, we have to show love to them.
Exactly.
Not because they do something good, but just because they're here.
Exactly.
We have to smile at them. We have to tell them we love them. We have to tell them we appreciate them. That's an ongoing thing, because a lot of these students now, they're not getting that at home. And again, no negative, but they're not getting that at home directly. So we have to be the ones to engage them in that way. We have to I'm gonna give you a quick story. So one of my volleyball girls, she came up to me and she walked in the gym and she just had this sad look on her face. So, I asked her, I said, hey, baby, what's going on? And she said nothing, and she walked away. A couple of minutes later, I looked at her and she was sitting by herself. So I went over and asked her what happened. She said, no, just my mom. And I put my arm around her and I said, let me tell you something. I said, when you come in this gym, I need you to leave all that so that your teammates and you can have some fun, even if it's for 2 hours. She had a smile on her face after that. Throughout the whole practice, she was upbeat. And then I thought about it when I left. I said, you know what? This young lady gonna go back home to whatever the situation was.
Exactly.
So I sent her a text in our group chat, and I just said, well, actually, it was a group text that just said, coach just want the players to know that somebody loves you today. And
Exactly.
they came back with all these texts. But what these young people need to know is that we concern. But see, one of the issues that we as educators, and I've been an educator for over 20 plus years, one of the issues in the classroom is we would talk to them when they do something wrong.
Right.
But when they're doing good, we don't say anything. We don't compliment them for doing well. So it's like this. We know the kid's name in schools who get in trouble, but no one knows who's the 4.2 kid, who's the 4.5 kid.
Exactly.
We need to make sure that
they go under the radar.
Right. We need to give these kids their accolades all the time. We have to put on the radar all the time. Coaches, we yell at the kids when they do something wrong, but when they do something good, we don't say anything. We have to, the same energy that we use to discipline them, we need that same energy to give them continuously. Not sometimes,
continuously and consistently. You have to be consistent with the youth.
And
that's because they're watching. They're watching us.
And the thing that they need to learn too is that then they hear your words, but they watch your actions. So you can have all the words that you want in the world, but if you're not displaying it in your actions, it means absolutely nothing to them.
Yes. And I mean, for Leah, for those, we all are parents, it's the same thing with our kids at home. You can tell them 100 things, but they looking to see what you do as well, and not to, I have to put a plug in here. It's like our walk, that Christian walk, people say what you want to say. They're going to look and see what you're doing. But you did say Dr. Patton was on. Did you say Dr. Patton was late?
And she says, Mr. Young is an asset to IC Norcom High School. I tell him that every day that I see him. Believe me, Dr. Patton, I let him know that that's exactly what he is. I gave him his 100-year pen over the weekend because he did such a marvelous job. He deserved a 100-year pen.
Dr. Patton's energy is unbelievable. This was my first time actually meeting Dr. Patton, like physically meeting her. And Leah, she'll let you know, I cried. We held hands and she was talking to me. And I felt this energy. It's just something about her was unbelievable. I think we both cried at that moment. Her love for her students, these young men that she coached and mentored, Anthony Hawkins and David Turner, and the list goes on. She was just unbelievable. I didn't have the words. I didn't have the words because the words wouldn't do justice to the energy that I felt coming from her. She ran back and forth from the parade. She ran into the building with the boys. And I mean, just unbelievable. From the first night, that first day she walked in the building, I think it was Thursday, it might have been Thursday. It was just, her energy was unbelievable. So Dr. Patton, thank you. We love you from everyone from IC Norcom. Thank you very much.
Hey, Dr. Knight. Hey, Dr. Leon J. Knight.
Dr. Knight. Oh my goodness.
Oh, she did. Oh,
you have to.
That is nice.
You have to let.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.
You have to.
Good morning.
How are we?
We just giving you accolades while you were not listening.
Yes.
I'm in the building. My guest just left my house.
Yes.
So it was. But I must say that yesterday. Thank you, something. Yesterday in church, a guest pastor said that IC Norcom High School's homecoming affairs surpass all universities and colleges.
Amen.
And he's not really, he's an advocate of our schools, of course, but just to bring that as an introduction to a sermon. So the first statement he said to me at the pipe organ was, "Are you tired, Dr. Knight?" I'm saying, what is he thinking about? Is he mentioning another song or something or whatever? He said, and that's when he went into that level of concentration and thought, and also conversation with the audience, that it was just utterly amazing. So I said it's team effort. Working as a And IC Norcom is unique, one of a kind.
There you go. That's
and
right.
it's all because of, all of us together.
Mhm.
Definitely with the Alumni Association, administration, the school, and we represented not only our school in terms of the city, but in terms of the state and nation, what can happen. If
Mhm.
structured properly, with set goals and using all the driven data that you can possibly serve up in order to be successful. Okay?
Right.
Yes,
Well,
indeed.
Doc,
Yeah.
Awesome.
you got on.
Our athletic director is just utterly amazing.
I'm telling you.
He connected directly to the spirit of Coach Joe Langston somehow.
Honey, yes, indeed.
It's amazing.
Definitely so.
He was not on the field running. That's how it was to the spirit.
Well,
I'm going to get Kim Johnson, excuse Miss Kim Johnson in a few minutes because she set me up for this. She said, go, hurry up, go on to Coffee Talk. And I'm thinking, okay, I didn't know this was happening. So thank you all. Okay. And looking forward.
Joe,
everybody's talking about next year.
But Joe,
Yeah.
the reason we felt, and talking to the Colonel and Slim on yesterday, we said we have to have a recap. We need a recap for all of the people out there who didn't get a chance to come, to the people who did come, so that they can get prepared for next year.
Yes.
So we're working. We're off and running. This is not going to end. We're running.
That's right. And
well,
I mentioned
Dr.
to the pastor yesterday, who is a pastor of First Baptist Taylorsville.
Yes.
I mentioned him yesterday. I said we have 199 churches. So next year, I'm thinking ahead that we'll have every church to have in the parade one of their vans giving the senior citizens a ride to make them feel good about it.
That is awesome.
109. If you get 100 churches out of 1199, that'd be fantastic.
Many of those senior citizens probably attended IC Norcom, I'm sure.
Yes.
And James, and we got to remember too, for those who did not attend IC Norcom, like my mother was from Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yeah.
But every time they attempted to close Norcom, she and her buddies would get their signs and go downtown to picket to make sure that we kept IC Norcom alive. Because every 30 years they've made an attempt to close us down. So,
always.
And they were always out there assisting and making sure that that they were a part of the Norcom family in that way, not being a graduate, but a part of the Norcom family.
Indeed so. And there are people in the community, as well as I learned at church yesterday, after church, who were asking me, how did you join the alumni? Must you be a Norcom graduate? So I had to explain that all to them as well. Everybody wants to connect with Norcom, and I can understand it.
Yes.
There's none of it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Dr. Knight, because we have to encourage people to join the National Alumni Association. Yes, you are an alum of Norcom when you graduate, but you're not a member of the Alumni Association. And we also have to get to the point, we have to incorporate IC Norcom High School Alumni Association Grand Reunion, because we have to make sure that we keep our name clean and that everything that is done in behalf of the IC Norcom Alumni Association is to give back to the school. We're not into any of this for personal gain. It's all to give back to the school.
That's right. And there's a community outreach that's totally phenomenal. At this point, we've always had it, mind you, but I feel to some degree it's been totally reactivated.
Yes.
And all of the talks about Norcom, okay? And I'm pretty sure that I would think that the Norcoms up there in heaven, okay, are smiling down on us.
Oh, you know they are. You know they are.
We are super blessed now. What we have to focus on in terms of the legacy and the history, again, of course, the academics.
We talked about that,
Academics and SOL scores, have the leadership team that I feel that we do have in the building and whatever, but all of them must get on board, because there were several, I don't mind telling you this, there were several departments not represented in the parade. You follow me?
Wow.
And the children are watching to see who are those persons who are really.
We just said they don't listen to your words. They watch your actions.
Exactly. So, but it's all about the learn experience too, because at this particular point, since we have about 80% new staff, it's a learning modality or learned modality for administration as well as the staff. Okay, so that's going to be the great motivator as well for next year.
Well, Dr. Knight, before you go, I need to tell you this. This is why I told my principal we need you on board. That's exactly what you said right there. That was the reason why we walked up to your classroom that day and knocked on your door and said,
last June this year, after 6.5 years, how you doing? Go on.
That was the whole idea. I wanted to make sure that we have someone like you who can teach us what should be done. And you did a phenomenal job. It's one thing when if the blind just walking, but if you have someone leading the blind who can see things, we can get in the right direction. And you coming aboard made this phenomenal for us. Those talks that you and I had on Wednesdays, just you and I, sitting in your class, you told Leah and the staff about this. When you sat me down and said, this is how it should be, it all came to fruition this week. And we still gonna have those talks. I'm gonna sit and listen so we can continue learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And let me just say, wait, go ahead, Doc.
No, I'm glad that the public is even more aware, and the communication that we're using even right now. Okay, we're going to extend it. Next year, we're going to make sure that the TV station, if you have a local station here, is much involved as well. Okay, and the words are simply highlighted about IC Norcom like never before in the norm that we're living in.
Hey, Leah, can I tell this quick story? When I first started high school, was going into high school, they had just opened up freedom of choice where we could choose a school we could go to. And coming up to high school, I'd gone to all Black schools. So I had a chance to apply to go to Wilson. So I said, let me go to Wilson and see what it's all about. So I went there that one year, and the next year they zoned everybody that lived in Truxton to Norcom, because we were integrating, but they weren't. So went to Norcom, and I always appreciate that one year I went to Wilson, because once I got to Norcom, I realized how fortunate I was as far as the education I got there, the teachers, the caring of the teachers. And Wilson had a lot of things that we didn't have, books and new books and things like that, but they could not match the caring teachers that we had and the education that I got at IC Norcom. So I appreciated that one year I went to Wilson. And I'll add this, when I was there at Wilson, we were just starting to grow afros. The principal called all the men or the guys to the auditorium and telling us we had to cut our hair because we looked like gorillas.
Wow.
The principal, Mr. Powlin, I'll call his name out. And we all got up and walked out. And I said, that experience alone taught me something about the other side, because I had never experienced sitting in going to a white school. But even then, he felt comfortable enough to tell us we looked like gorillas because we were growing afros.
Wow.
A white student was sitting right next to me, and this was in the 60s. His hair was sitting on his shoulders. But when we grew our little afros, he had a special assembly to tell us we looked like gorillas.
Well,
we looked at each other,
now, currently, he's being tormented in the flame right now, okay?
Right, he definitely is. And things, just to say things happen for a reason, because I had to have that experience to really appreciate those 3 years I was at Norcom and graduated from IC Norcom.
Well, thank you all. I have a class waiting on me, so have a great day.
Thank you for coming on. We thank you so very much. We love you all, and let's get ready. Let's keep the fire burning as we
appreciate you.
And as Dr. Knight said, we need those graduates to join the IC Norcom Alumni Association. In order for us to continue to do what we do, we need them to join. And we need not only to join with their money, but we need them to join with their input as well. So we are putting forth 110 campaign. Next year will be our 110th year. We're putting forth 110 campaign in which we are asking 110 new graduates who have not been a member of the IC Norcom Alumni Association to join the IC Norcom Alumni Association. For those who are members, your dues are due again in December, so it's time for you to repay those dues. Secondly, we're going to do 110 living notables. We're asking each class to nominate someone from their class who display the character that Mr. Norcom had, and nominate that person as a part of our 110 living notables. And Coach, I hope that there will be a way that we can display, even like the graduation pictures they have on the wall, if we can do a collage of that nature to display these 110 notables from these various classes. We're also asking 110 graduates to do their lifetime membership to the IC Norcom Alumni Association. It's only $400 and it can be paid in installments. We're also asking 110 graduates to give $110 to the IC Norcom Alumni Association, and this money will be used to support the various activities at the school. We're asking 110 graduates to pay $1,100. We're keeping that 110 going. And that $1,100 will go towards scholarships. My goal and my dream and my prayer is we have 250 students graduating from Norcom next year. This will be our 110th year. Every student going to a college or university, we would like to give a scholarship to. Every kid who's going to a trade school, we want to give something to them. And those children, those young people have not yet decided. I want us to be able to give each of them at least a $110 gift certificate. We can't do this unless you join, unless you donate. We need you to be involved so that we can show these young people our love and let them know that we support them and we have their backs. Last year, we gave $8,500 in scholarship. I'm looking for us to give so much more for the 110th year and anniversary. And we need to give something to each graduating senior coming out of IC Norcom High School.
Leah, let me just throw this in because some people ask me about this, and while Les Young is still here, you know, there was a charge for each one of the activities, and these activities have to pay for themselves because all those activities it's not in the budget, the school budget. So right, so these activities have to pay, and I think some events that will, you know, I don't know if that has something to do with it, but people will be used to it by next year. You know, these activities have to pay for themselves.
Exactly.
And it's a small price to pay to be involved, you know, and if you don't go, you really miss something. So for those people that were wondering, well, why is there a charge for every event? I mean, don't we usually go to these things free? But like I said, I think I'm right. And Doctor, you can piggyback on it. You have to pay, activity had to pay for themselves.
Let's just take the pep rally. The DJ costs $350. That's the DJ. That's just one part of the budget. That's $350 that again, there's no line item in my budget for a pep rally for homecoming. So yes, these things have to pay for themselves. So also when I did my fundraiser form for this week, I allotted the monies from this week to go to spring sports. Remember, most of these spring sports are non-revenue activities.
Exactly.
The baseball, we can't charge a baseball game, but I have to spend $7,000 for baseball uniform. We can't charge for softball game, but my uniforms are $5,400 for softball uniforms. So everything was earmarked to spring sports. Hopefully we did decent enough. In fact, between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we made enough money that we can buy half of the baseball uniform. So yes, we have to charge if we're going to keep this thing going and if we're going to keep the integrity of it and quality.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. We don't want it to be, you know, I don't want people to come to an activity and say, yo, they didn't even plan this. No, we want to, but it costs. It costs. So yes, we were charging. And most of the people I talked to, if they ask, when I explained that, they said, oh, we'll be happy to donate, you know. So I don't think most people have an issue with that anymore. Once explained, one of the issues in the past was communication, being able to give people information, explaining why we're doing what we do. The alumni want to know, and they should know. I think it's our obligation to explain what we're doing, why we're doing it. And if someone comes and say, where the funds go, I should be able to explain. This is
Exactly.
what we're doing. So everything that we did from Tuesday night through Friday, those funds will be earmarked directly to spring sports. Whatever we made on Saturday, that would be earmarked to our football. Now, football this year, and I don't mind saying, we spent $34,000 on football to get the program going. We were in dire need of helmets. Helmets, the extra helmets was $15,000.
Yes.
So, this is not, we're not just blowing in the wind. There's a budget, there's a plan that goes just like anything else. I mean, sports management, half of sport management is managing a business. If I was given $50,000 to start up, 34 went to football, 34. So whatever we make from the homecoming game and the homecoming activities, that goes back into football so we can start again next year. So it's a business. So yes, we do have to charge if we're going to maintain the integrity of the programs.
And unless we got some
We don't want to
Norcom graduates who are former baseball players like Herbert Towns, who could probably donate a uniform. And you got other graduates who may be able to donate baseball uniforms to help out with making sure that we get these uniforms to these students and make sure they have what they need. And also, Mrs. Ali has already put out that she needs Gatorade and things for the girls' basketball team. So, like you said, you need that money in order to do the things that you need to do for the students as well.
That's right. Some of these student athletes do not have a hot meal at home continuously. Not, and the word is continuously. They do, but they don't have it continuously. So when you feed a child who's been in school from 7 to 2:15, they have a volleyball game at 4 o'clock. When you feed them at 2:30, you may have given them the hot meal that they would not have received that day.
Exactly.
So all these things you have to provide. Remember last year we had 2 young ladies on the softball team that have cleats. They didn't have. Miss Donna Dixon and I went out personally and bought that with our money, not the school money, bought that for them. That's just one case of things that we do continuously. There were track kids who we personally had to go out and buy shoes for them because some parents don't care, or some parents don't have it. They have to spend priorities. So if the priority would be lights in the house versus cleats for the kids, they have to pay the light bill.
Exactly.
So that's where we come in. And me, who's been coaching for 20 plus years, we've been doing that all my
career. We lost him again. But yeah, so we have to come back and we have to support the school and school activities. And there are some activities that just don't get the turnout. Because I know, for one, I never went to a volleyball game until one of the young ladies came to me and she said, please, Miss Leah, come to the volleyball game. And I've gone to the volleyball game since then, learning volleyball under Kim Johnson, because I didn't know what I was looking at. But we have to support. We need to give the support to the school that they need.
Yeah, during my day and senior year being on the track team, a lot of people would come to the events. I don't know how they attend them now, but like Les said, you don't charge for those. You could have 1,000 people out there watching the track meet, but if they don't, the school is not cooping. It helps the participants in the sport, to have that support. But those uniforms cost and everything like that. So. And a lot of people, alumni want to support, and they just don't know where to go to do it. So we just need to get the word out, for all the alumni that ever went there. If they just paid their dues, think how much money the alumni would have to give back to the school.
If every alumni member just paid $1, we'll be well ahead of the game, So
indeed.
But Les, also, you still have shirts for sale, right? People calling, they want to know.
Yes, we do.
We still have homecoming and returning to the foundations of excellence. And yours is
this one.
And then he has one with the High Street School. He has one with Mr. Norcom's picture on it.
Yep.
And on the back, it has that excellence quote on there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we have when with the year 1913 with the High Street address. So there's several that they can come to the school and purchase. We have not put it online to buy it online. It seems like it's kind of confusing when we do it online with the OSP program, but you can come to the school and see the bookkeeper. We still have a whole lot of stuff left. We sold a lot. People was buying them. We sold a lot. We should have had hats and some other things,
Yes,
but
yes.
we will for next year. We will.
And you also had the homecoming booklet that many people didn't get a chance to
Yes.
see. But
Yes.
it was well done. The booklet was well done.
It sure was. It sure was. We highlighted the Hall of Famers. I think that was, to me, that was the biggest thing. I felt so good in putting that in there. 5 pages of the list of the Hall of Famers from IC Norcom. And that's what I was able to find. It may have been, Miss Leah, it may be more out there, but that's what I was digging. I'm going around to the history. And those 5 pages what I found.
Yes, yes.
You may want to look at it. You may want to look at it to see if I omitted some people. So that's something we probably need to sit down and look at.
I would get with John Watler and we would go over the list to make sure, because he's the president of the Hall of Fame. So we would get together and make sure that you have everyone who was a part of the Hall of Fame. So
okay, Hall of Fame committee. Now next year, I'm waiting for that call. I need to be in the hall. I need to be in the hall for the most bench time of any Norcom basketball player ever. And I think that should be recognized. You know, nobody has sat on the bench longer than me. So, you know, I think that should be a category.
That would be something new, sir. That would be something new.
But the Alumni Association will be getting with you and sharing with you what our thoughts and our ideas are, as well as incorporating your thoughts and your ideas so we can pull all of this together and plan for a year of celebrating 110 years. 1 year of celebrating 110 years and ways in which we can keep them engaged. They want to be engaged. And they want to come back home.
And Leah, as we go ahead, yes.
We will be, I'm going to try to work on pushing the Eastern District to put out the schedule earlier. Generally, it's not until May. But because of the 110 years, I will try. I'm the secretary of the association. So I'm going to try. One of the things with setting the date, we have to wait on Norfolk State because we don't want to have our homecoming and Norfolk State homecoming at the same time. This is why our homecoming was this late. People don't know. There's so much planning in the background to get this stuff, you know, up and running. We don't want to compete with Norfolk State. We'd like not to compete with Virginia State. You know, I mean, Virginia State is not a big deal, but Norfolk State is huge so they don't put their schedule out until May as well.
Yeah, and even Hampton.
And it's so many things predicated on us having our date. And then we don't want to schedule a city school. This is just my idea. We don't want to schedule a city school for homecoming. Why? Budget-wise, and these are things people don't think about. Like if we play Manor, that's going to be a big money game anyway because it's a city school. So why am I going to put that on homecoming? I need that to be a big money game because homecoming always going to be a money game. So why would I put 2 money games on the same day?
Exactly.
These are the things sports management you have to think about when people ask questions or they criticize. They don't know that as an administrator, I have all these things, not just me, but we have all these things that we have to take in consideration. Why would I play Manor for homecoming? Why would I play Churchland for homecoming? That's not good business, man, because they're going to draw money anyway. So I need a school like Norview, like we played, because our people are going to come for homecoming. I need a Granby, and not just throwing those schools under the bus, but I need those schools to be, so it all has to line up before we know the date. So that's those who ask, why don't you know the date already? Those are some of the reasons. And if they want to know the rest, they can come to my office. We'll sit.
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that clear. And
Yeah.
as we get ready to close out, I like to say too, Portsmouth Coffee Talk, we extend invitations to all the schools in the city of Portsmouth. We have done extensive stories about Manor and their renaming and things like that. So all the schools in the city of Portsmouth, we will give the same amount of attention and time. Just let us know what's going on with your school, because we're concerned about all the students in the city of Portsmouth.
Yes, we
Norcom
are.
is just shining. We have a couple of Norcom alums here, so of course we're gonna kind of highlight our school, but it's not because we don't want to highlight any other schools, because anybody that calls us, we have some people coming up from Wilson
Yeah,
soon.
Roger's,
The basketball coach, right?
yes.
From Wilson.
Yeah, Roger's coming on, yes.
And Manor. So I just wanted to make that point so people don't think we're favoring Norcom, but we are the best. So what can I say? But
one young lady posted, says, "Maroon and gray across my chest proves to America that we are the best." Hey, and that's so true.
But seriously, give us a call if you want us to feature your school and come on here. We'll do that as many times as you want us to do it, as long as we can schedule it. So just had to make that point.
Yeah.
But any other closing comments from our guests?
Colonel?
Great event, great weekend, everything. Lee, I got another task for you. You got to update the website so you can do that 110th thing.
Yes, I got the person working on it now.
Yeah, because I was getting ready to do my thing, but couldn't find it. So
I'm gonna have to really talk to her as soon as I get offline. Then I'm gonna wake her up.
Let's go ahead and get it.
Okay. So, James, you have something to say to Les?
No, I'm all finished. I'd like to thank him for coming on and sharing some of the information, especially what you last said and the information about pay for events. And I think that's important because they're the things that people, why this, why that, but it's a reason for everything that's done. And everything it goes right back into the school and the sports and the athletics. And you can also support them, contact them if you want to buy a helmet or support a helmet or buy a uniform or do something or just give a donation that might help out. Their arms are open to accept any gifts or any donations that you as alumni or friends want to contribute. It's all about our students and their future and the future that they are gonna hold for us. At one point we're gonna be stepping down, so we want to make sure our students are prepared like they prepared us back in the day.
And thank you, Tracy Booth Avery, who's watching, and the Portsmouth Sheriff's team for the fine job that you all did out there and making sure that we were safe and everything was in order at the game. We thank you so very much. Also, may I mention that we are supporting our parent liaison, Keita Armin, we're going to put along with United Healthcare. They're planning to give 300 food baskets out for Thanksgiving. So if there's anyone out there who would like to bring some non-perishable items or canned goods, bring them to Norcom High School. I asked Keita to get a box together so we can just drop the items in the box. Herman Weaver brought his items out to the game on Saturday. So we're going to bring those canned goods in. We're also going to assist United Healthcare in purchasing turkeys. So the 300 families from IC Norcom will have a decent Thanksgiving meal this year. So, but let me tell you what, God put you where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. And you are the blessing that God has bestowed upon us. And I know some people don't like you to get into the God, but I just think that God just orchestrates everything the way that it's supposed to be done. Unless God planted you with us during this time and season so that we can get back to where we need to be, so we can return to that foundation of excellence. And you have truly, you and your team, you have truly started us on the right path. I want to thank Dr. Foster, Mr. Coulter, Dr. Smith, Ms. Beeman, all of you for all that you're doing to bring Norcom back to where it is supposed to be. And I just want you to know that the Alumni Association, we are here to support you in any way that we can. We are here for you. We're that arm that comes when you need something, you come to us. And if we can do it, we're going to do it. Okay. But I just want to thank you so very much for coming on today to give us a recap of what took place this weekend, which was magnificent.
And
Thank you so very much.
And it just proves you don't have to have been a Greyhound to be a Greyhound.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice,
our community,
and our future.
And we salute you.
We salute you, Les Young, and your team.
Yes.
And all the members of your team. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all very much.
Please tell your mother-in-law I said hello, okay?
Will do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank everybody for watching. We'll see you next week. Well,
Thursday.
we'll see you Thursday. We have candidates on Thursday. So it'll be the last group of candidates we have on before the election. So
who do we have on, Slim?
They're going to be Dr. Cotton. They're going to be Vernon Tillage and Sharon Anderson.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
So candidates on, and most of all, people vote. This is a crucial election. Do not sit home thinking that your vote don't count. As I keep mentioning, and an election was determined by the toss of a coin because the election was so close. So it is important that you get out there and cast your ballots for this election.
As well as council, as well as the school board, because that's important too, because they can, there's a lot of things that curriculum wise that needs to be done. And we need to like-minded school board members up there to make sure that the changes that might need to be made, that they can at least start it here on the local level. You know, as far as we can't let, politics come down in our schools and hurt our students as far as keeping up with their history.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you again. Thank you, Les.
Slim. Yes. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
Oh, Dr. Foster says amen. Okay. All right. So we're good. And Les, thank you so very much. We appreciate
have a good
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Okay.